The Cold War era was a time of intense ideological struggle, political tension, and societal transformations. Amid the rigid structures of Soviet society, a unique phenomenon emerged: the rebellion of Soviet teenagers. This article explores the ways in which Soviet teenagers rebelled against the norms and restrictions imposed by the state during the Cold War, creating their own subcultures and challenging the established order. 1. The constrictions of Soviet society. Soviet society was characterized by strict conformity to state-sanctioned ideologies, limited personal freedoms, and pervasive surveillance. The state sought to control every aspect of public and private life, creating an environment that stifled individual expression. 2. Emergence of subcultures. In the 1960s and 1970s, Soviet teenagers began to rebel against the monotony of state-approved cultural norms. Inspired by Western influences, they formed subcultures that expressed their desire for freedom, individualism, and a break from the monotony of socialist realism. 3. Music and fashion. Western rock and roll music and fashion became powerful symbols of rebellion for Soviet teenagers. Despite state censorship, young people found ways to access and share forbidden music, and they embraced non-conformist styles that challenged the prescribed dress code. 4. Samizdat and Tamizdat culture. The limitations on freedom of expression led to the creation of Samizdat self-published and Tamizdat smuggled literature. Teenagers engaged in clandestine distribution networks to share literature, poetry, and ideas that were considered subversive by the authorities. 5. Underground publications. Teenagers established clandestine publications, known as zines, to disseminate alternative viewpoints, poetry, and art. These underground publications served as a platform for dissent, allowing young people to connect and express themselves beyond the state-approved narratives. 6. Banned literature and film. Soviet authorities censored literature and films deemed ideologically inappropriate. However, rebellious teenagers sought out forbidden works, creating a vibrant black market for banned books and films that fueled a countercultural movement. 7. Cultural dissent and youth movements. As the Cold War progressed, a sense of disillusionment among Soviet youth grew. The invasion of Czechoslovakia in 1968 and other geopolitical events prompted young people to question the ideological underpinnings of the Soviet system. Dissent manifested through informal youth movements that advocated for personal freedoms and political change. 8. Punishments and persecutions. The Soviet authorities responded harshly to perceived dissent, with many teenagers facing punishments ranging from expulsion from educational institutions to forced psychiatric treatment. Despite the risks, the rebellious spirit persisted, symbolizing a longing for autonomy and self-expression. Conclusion. Soviet teenagers' rebellion during the Cold War was a testament to the human spirit's desire for freedom and individual expression, even in the face of a repressive state. The subcultures and movements that emerged among Soviet youth reflected a silent resistance to the rigid conformity imposed by the state, challenging the status quo and sowing the seeds for a cultural transformation that would eventually contribute to the unraveling of the Soviet Union itself. In the struggle for self-expression, these teenagers left an indelible mark on the history of Cold War dissent, embodying the resilience of the human spirit in the face of ideological oppression.